On this episode of Win Over Depression, we'll be talking about how to get through and overcome an episode of depression. And we're always reminded that giving up is never an option. Many people experience symptoms of depression from time to time. You may feel sad, discouraged, emotionally drained, unmotivated, irritable, or overwhelmed. You may also have difficulty sleeping, concentrating, completing daily tasks, or enjoying the things that normally bring you happiness. Wow, that sounds like a mouthful because it really is. That is why depression is the most undertreated condition of all time. But this episode is going to help you better understand and get through the episodes of depression that you may experience. Hello, and welcome to Win Over Depression, the podcast where healing meets hope and every story matters. I'm your host, Tamara Trotter, mental health advocate, author, and a woman who knows what it's like to walk through hard days and come out stronger. Here we will break down stigma, share real tools for wellness, and uplift you with truth, courage, and care. Whether you're battling depression, supporting someone you love, or just seeking peace, you are in the right place. Let's win together. So let's lay the foundation with some Bible verses that help remind us that we're never alone and ones that we can lean on when we are in an episode of depression. Psalm 34:17 through 18 reminds us, "The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and deliver them out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit." God does not abandon us when our hearts are broken. He draws near to us. Even when we cannot feel his presence, he is still there, comforting and supporting us. So we understand through this verse that hard times are going to come. There are going to be troubles. But during the troubles, the hardest times and moments in our life, God is with us. He understands and he cares. So lean on that. I tell people when you are in an episode of depression, the best thing you can do is get busy. Clean up a room, take a walk, listen to some music, do something that brings you joy. That is the best time. But unfortunately, when we're in an episode of depression, we want to stay in bed. We want to just sit in the chair and just do nothing. We don't want to conversate. We don't have an appetite. But none of that is going to help pull us out of that episode of depression. I guarantee you that once you get up and you move your body, you're going to naturally start to feel better. All right, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. But before we do that, I want to remind you of my course, The 14 Days to Manage Depression. If you are in an episode of depression right now, the 14 Days to Manage Depression is going to walk you through every single step that's going to help you get to that better place that you deserve to be in. All you got to do is go to the show notes, click on the link, and you will be well on your way to getting out of this episode of depression. All right, the time has come. Snuggle in your favorite chair, get yourself a warm cup of hot tea, and get ready for this episode. I've got some great stuff coming your way. Okay, so I want you to be reminded that an episode of depression is very different than having symptoms of depression, because symptoms are usually temporary and may arise because of stress, disappointment, grief, exhaustion, conflict, illness, or a difficult season of life. However, a depressive episode is generally a period when several symptoms occur together and continue for an extended period of time and begin to interfere with your ability to function in your daily life. So an example might be you're supposed to go to work, but you're not feeling well. You feel tired, you feel exhausted, and you're just not up to it. That would indicate that you are most likely in an episode of depression as opposed to having a symptom of depression. Because during an episode of depression, getting out of bed may feel difficult. Maybe you wake up, your alarm clock goes off, you lay in the bed, you go back to sleep, it goes off again a little bit later, you turn it off. Now an hour has passed, you're in an episode of depression. You may not feel like answering the telephone, returning a message, taking a shower, or even eating or preparing a meal. So the difference is you're withdrawn from others and you lose interest in the activities that you have once enjoyed. That is how you define and understand when you are in a full-blown episode of depression. When you are in an episode of depression, it can last anywhere from 2 hours to 2 weeks to 2 months. And so today we're going to talk about how can we minimize the time that we are in an episode of depression. The first thing I want you to hear is that an episode of depression is something you are experiencing. It is not who you are. It is something that you are going through, something that is causing you to feel down. Depression may affect how you feel, but it does not determine your identity, your value, your purpose, or your future. An episode has a beginning, and with the proper support, treatment, healthy strategies, and faith, it can also have an ending. Isaiah 41 verse 10 declares, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." So getting through an episode of depression may take you to take life one day, 1 hour, or even one moment at a time. It may require you to reach out for professional support. Talk honestly with someone you trust, follow your treatment plan, rest your body, challenge negative thoughts, and celebrate small victories. So the thing is that once you recognize the difference between an episode and symptoms, you know that obviously having an episode is more serious than having symptoms, but it helps you to understand how you're feeling and what steps you need to take in order to get past it. Because I can remember when I was in an episode for 2 months and all I did was get up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, get up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Because I knew that no matter what, I had to go to work. But there's some people who just can't do that. But I knew that I would be in a worse place if I didn't go to work because I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. And then that would be a set of other issues that I would have to face. So I just want to remind you that you have direct control over whether or not your episode lasts from either 2 hours to 2 days to 2 months. It is dependent upon how proactive you are in managing your episode. And again, the 14 days to manage depression is a treatment plan because in those 14 days, you are equipped with tools that will help you identify whether you're in an episode or whether you are just having symptoms, and it's going to give you concrete ways that you can get out of it. I remember when it would last for 2 months, it was so devastating. And now through the tools that I've developed, I know how to get myself to a better place in 2 hours. And that's what that course is going to help you do. But the truth is you have to follow the treatment plan. You have to Do away with the negative thought pattern that you're used to, and you have to make tangible steps toward doing something differently. So if you decide that you're just going to stay in bed and not do anything, then I would have to say that that episode of depression is going to last much longer than it should. Totally up to you, my friend. Just know that you can and will get through this. You can and will rise again. You will heal, and you can win over depression. It is a mindset shift. So if every day when you wake up, you set up your day by saying to yourself, today is going to be a great day. I'm going to achieve some goals that I've set for myself. I'm going to think positively. I'm going to recite some affirmations that are going to help me. When you do that over and over again, you retrain your mind to dispel negative thinking and replace it with positive thinking. It may sound hard, but when you continue to do it over and over again, you create a brand new habit. And that's what we're looking for. Change. I want to remind you that Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So God is going to strengthen you during the hard times. Sometimes we may feel like we don't have enough strength for today, but God does. So what do you do when you're in the middle of a depressive episode? I'm going to give you 3 practical steps. The first step is accept where you are without accepting that this is where you will stay. Recognize that you're in an episode, but be confident and assured that you will not stay in that episode. Because many people spend valuable energy pretending they're okay when they're not. Healing begins with honesty. So tell yourself, I'm having a difficult day. I'm struggling today. I need support today. There is strength in acknowledging reality. Ignoring depression doesn't make it disappear, but recognizing it allows you to begin addressing it. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is simply saying, this is where I am today, in this moment, in this time and space, but it is not where my story ends. So acknowledge the reality of where you are and what you're going through. That's the first step. The second step, shrink the day. One of the biggest mistakes that we make during depression is thinking about everything we have to do instead of focusing on the next month or even tomorrow. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do in the next 10 minutes? And I've talked many times about breaking down your task into 15-minute increments. So maybe in the next 15 minutes, take a shower, drink a glass of water, take your medication, open the curtains, walk to the mailbox, text someone you trust, because those small victories build momentum. We get overwhelmed when we look around, especially if during an episode of depression, we have neglected to clean our house. So we see all these things that we need to do. We're not going to be able to do them all at one time, but in 15-minute increments, we can experience a small victory, and that is going to help us. Progress during depression is often measured in inches, not in miles. It is measured in inches. For an example, if you've had negative thinking for the past 10 minutes and the next 5 minutes you're thinking positively, you have successfully, for 5 minutes, transitioned your brain to thinking positively. That counts. That is what builds momentum. Never underestimate the power of one healthy decision repeated over and over again. Say you need to go to the store and you've been putting it off for 2 or 3 days, and the store is 5 minutes away, and you only need to get one or two things. Push yourself to get in your car or on your bicycle or whatever your mode of transportation is. Get to that store, get what you need, and come back. Because guess what? Whatever it is you needed, you're going to now be able to take use or make use of whatever that is. But if you continue to just think about how you need to go to the store, but you never go, then you're not going to be able to achieve that goal. Step number 3, stay connected even when depression tells you to isolate. Because here's what depression does. It whispers lies to you. It says, nobody cares. You're bothering people. Handle this yourself. We are in a battle with our mind when we are in an episode of depression. It's the thoughts that are leading to us staying in bed, feeling down, not responding, having a negative pity party. Those thoughts can feel convincing, but feelings are not always facts. Let me say that again. Those thoughts can feel convincing, but feelings are not always facts. One phone call, one counseling appointment, one conversation with a trusted friend, a support group, one prayer can interrupt the isolation that depression tries to create. God never intended for us to carry every burden alone. Sometimes his answer to our prayer comes through another person. Don't wait until you are at the breaking point before asking for help. Reach out sooner rather than later. Remember, asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Galatians 6 verse 9 says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Sometimes during depression, your well-doing isn't accomplishing 10 major goals. Sometimes your well-doing is simply getting out of bed. Sometimes it's making your counseling appointment, taking your medication, praying when all you can say is, Lord, help me. God sees every effort that you make. He sees every tear. He sees every battle that no one else knows that you are fighting. Remember, this episode that you may be in is a chapter. It's not the entire story. You have survived difficult days before, and with God's help, the support of others, and practical daily steps, you can make it through this season. There's hope, there's healing, and there's purpose beyond your pain. And together, we are going to continue to learn how to win over depression. You have got this. Get up right now if you've been sitting down and do something productive for the next 15 minutes. And think about how the 14 days to manage depression is going to help you get to that better place and equip you with the daily tools that you need to minimize your episodes of depression. I never want to close my podcast episode without thanking you so very much for listening. You continue to be the best part of Win Over Depression. And I hope that this episode today was beneficial and had some value. If it did, would you do me a favor? Please share it with a friend. And if you can, would you take 60 seconds and leave a review on Apple Podcast? This will allow other people just like you to find me so that they too can win over depression. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. And I encourage you to go back and listen to many of my episodes because they will help you get to that place where you deserve. Remember, the 14 days to manage depression can be found in the show notes. I encourage you to get it today. There's a special right now. I encourage you to click on it and you will be well on your way to feeling better. Take care and remember, God loves you and so do I. See you next time.